On the show today, the story of Napoleon's wedding and christening. An individual meringue dessert with chestnut cream and a spectacular two-tiered chocolate cake. Eric's following the story of Antonin Karam, who had risen from the obscurity of sifting flour in a patisserie to cooking for Napoleon.
Carême had become known all over France to be the emperor's chefs, cooking for him here at the Hôtel de Ville.
It was here, cooking for the emperor, that Carême became France's most celebrated chef.
But it was really to Taland he was the closest, and his career will always be linked to him.
Charles Talleyrand was Napoleon's foreign minister. He was painfully aware that the Napoleonic Wars had created enemies all over Europe, and he realised France needed new allies, as she certainly had some very powerful enemies. Napoleon had by now spent years on the battlefront, but his marriage to Josephine was still strong.
However, he had not created an heir to the throne, and he was finally persuaded to leave Josephine and to remarry.
Talleyrand wanted the marriage to kill two birds with one stone, create an heir and to form a new alliance with another great empire, Austria. Marie-Louise Habsburg, great-grandniece of Marie Antoinette, was brought to meet Napoleon at his home at Compiègne in northern France.
So it wasn't just a wedding between two people, it was as well two massive empires getting together.
Absolutely.
So how political was it?
Oh, exceedingly political. You know, this is the French Empire with 30 million souls, massive thing, is now linked by marriage to the Austrian Empire, which is massive itself. So this is a giant swathe of Europe, which is all politically aligned now. I mean, people talked about Napoleon wanted world domination. I mean, you can kind of believe it when you see that this amount of territory that's all run from Paris.
So huge political wedding, but how was it? Was it what we expect of a royal wedding?
Oh yeah, no, it's massive. There is a 3-day celebration. First of all, you've got the civil marriage, which is followed by massive celebrations in the streets. There are fountains of wine, thousands of pies.
Good.
Oh yes, thousands of pies and chickens all over the place. Singers wandering up and down, 5 or 6 different orchestras up and down the Champs-Élysées.
Carême had been invited to make one of Napoleon's wedding cakes for the civic ceremony in the evening. But he wasn't in charge of the banquet, and he wasn't happy.
Carême himself, during the evening, throws a bit of a queenie fit and decides to take his pots and pans and leave. This is at 11 o'clock, long before the ball would even have started at that point, I suppose. He made a pièce sucrée. So usually, I think a pièce montée, a large construction, like a tower or something. And when he'd done it, he just didn't want to be anything and have anything left to do with this terrible evening. He thought it all looked a bit cheap.
As well as merging two great empires, Napoleon had his eye on the future.
He's interested in becoming a monarch, a real old-fashioned monarch. So what he does is he needs a descendant. And so when he marries Marie-Louise, he brings her here, he's marrying a womb. You know, he just needs children. This is Marie-Louise's bedroom.
What a magnificent bed.
Yeah, it's kind of symbol, isn't it? It sort of expresses really what the whole thing was about.
So have we got any interesting fact from the wedding night at all?
They say on the marriage night that she asked him, you know, can we go again, kind of thing. But it's really hard to say. But the relationship is a success. The bed does its work. The horns of plenty bring plenty. So yes, absolutely. So.
Marie Habsburg delivered a son, and Carême, despite his differences with Napoleon over the wedding banquet, was invited back into the fold.
To further cement his position at the table of Europe's most powerful emperor, he was asked to create a christening cake when Marie Habsburg, Napoleon's young wife, gave birth to a son, the King of Rome.
The christening cake was in fact a meringue, famously made into the shape of a gondolier, something that has inspired Eric for his next recipe.
This extravagant dessert is completely inspired by Carême. All over Russia and Italy, they used to love glacé fruit and very sweet dessert. And of course, Carême was the king of meringues. And this is what this gâteau is all over. It's gâteau Mont Blanc. So I got some mold here. You can get them in any sugar craft shop. It's very easy to get. They're made of silicone. In the old days, they used to use mold made of wood. So this one are much easier to use. And I'm going to use some petal paste. Petal paste is a kind of icing. It's actually the one you use to make sugar flowers. It dried very quickly. When it's nice and soft, we're going to press it inside the mold. It's a very easy and cheap way to make some amazing design, really, to be honest. So this is kind of interesting, really, because usually we finish with the decoration, but how we started, you really have to dry, because we're going to have to stand up. Leave the sugar paste swans to dry and harden. Meanwhile, make the meringue. Whisk some egg whites and caster sugar. Pipe them into small nests. Right, that's going to go in the oven. Temperature of 130, probably for an hour and a half. And the secret is switch it off after an hour and a half, leave the dough jar overnight. You will get that special meringue with a lovely soft center and crunchy outside. Okay, so this one, the one I made overnight. They are perfect. So we're going to leave them here, and we're going to start to make the next step, which is to make the chestnut filling. For the chestnut cream, take some whole chestnuts and add to the cold milk. And to my concoction, I'm adding split vanilla pods. You can't beat fresh vanilla pods. Cook gently until you have a thick syrup. So the chestnuts are almost dissolved now. They soaked all the milk. Push out your puree through a sieve. Okay, that's perfect. But of course, it's not sweet. Definitely not sweet enough to make a dessert. It's only milk, chestnut, and vanilla. So to bring the sweetness to it, I made a sugar syrup earlier, and we're going to add that to our chestnut puree. You can see the consistency completely change now. And the final ingredient, just to make it a bit richer, some unsalted butter. We're going to whisk that in. That's perfect consistency. You can see it's nice and smooth, very glossy, and delicious. Now we can start to build our swan. Whip some double cream. Place some cranberry preserve on the meringues. Spoon on a generous amount of double cream. With a small palette knife, I'm just going to smooth it up a little bit. So the classic way is to have like a big pile of kind of spaghetti of chestnut puree. And the easiest way to do it is to use one of those piping gun. You can see it's got like a whole set of little holes. Will give us the perfect spaghettis. If you haven't got one, you can just use a piping bag with a very short nozzle. I'm just going to dust it with a lot of icing sugar. And the final ingredient, marron glacé. Marron glacé is actually a whole chestnut who's been cooked very slowly in a very heavy syrup. So I'm just going to kind of crumble them on the top of our little Mont Blanc. And the final addition, our little sugar paste swan, who are now very dry. So I'm just going to add them on each side. Okay, maybe not as extravagant as Carême's 2-meter-high swans made of meringues, but I think this one would be impressive enough for any dinner party. Mont Blanc, inspired by Monsieur Carême.
Carême had cemented his position as the world's first celebrity chef. He'd created a piece sucré for Napoleon's civil wedding to Marie Habsburg, uniting Austria and France, and he created the christening cake for their son and heir, the King of Rome. These days, everyone wants a cake fit for their own royal wedding. And Eric is asked to create more and more outlandish designs. He has a list of celebrity clients as long as your arm, but he's always clear he makes cakes for everybody.
The other day, one of my competitors was on television saying, we do cake for celebrities. We do cake for everybody, including celebrities.
Nina and Jamie are planning a late summer wedding, and they've sorted the guest list, the dress, and the marquee. Now it's time to think about the wedding cake.
Doesn't mean you're gonna have to have just fruit cake. You can have lemon cake, carrot cake, you can mix the layers, and most people do that these days.
I don't want something too flamboyant, I like it to be very simple, very neutral.
But let's have a look at some of the work we've done in the past, and maybe something's gonna, a design's gonna pop out, and it will be the one. So first one, I have the iced cake. And of course that was commissioned by a bride and groom, so we can change shape, colors, sizes to fit your day. So.
Jamie and Nina have a look at some designs, but come to a pretty quick decision.
You can see the detail there, it's got tiny little sets of dots, so you give a bit of texture, but without being too over the top.
What do you think?
Should we go for that one?
Definitely, yeah, it's lovely.
That's the one.
Yeah.
God, you two are, I like you. Are you ready to try some cakes now?
Definitely.
Yeah. So this one is probably the richest of the two chocolate we offer. It's a chocolate ganache. So ganache is cream and chocolate melted together. The traditional fruit cake, if you're going to keep a top tier, that's going to have to be the one. This one is getting more and more popular with carrot cake. People use it as an alternative to the fruit cake. With that design, you can really mix and match the tiers. So
Excellent.
there's no issue with that. So
Wonderful.
go for it.
I guess you should drink it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I don't normally like fruit cake, but that is outstanding. It's really lovely. There's not too much alcohol going on in it. It's lovely. Really nice. And in each tier, can we have a different flavour?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Whilst Nina considers what will be right for each tier, Jamie sticks to tasting the cakes.
The carrot cake. Should I bring it, turn it round?
I can see you like...
Yeah.
Get your eyes on that.
We're saving the best for last.
And that one is layered with cream cheese frosting.
That's very nice.
This next recipe is a two-tiered chocolate cake that will be perfect for a big occasion like a wedding, a christening, or a birthday.
So for this recipe, we're actually pushing the boat out a little bit, or a lot. Definitely a cake designed for a celebration or a big occasion. It's going to be a two-tier chocolate cake. It's a French recipe. It's called gâteau moelleux.
First, make the sponge. Mix butter and sugar together.
So we're going to give it a good whack till it's nice and fluffy and creamy. And the next ingredient to go in is a dark treacle.
Add 8 eggs and some dark melted chocolate.
And I'm using quite a high cocoa content dark chocolate. I went for a 70% because I don't want too much sugar in this recipe already, because we already put the trickles and we got the caster sugar, so it's quite a sweet sponge already. So I don't want to go too far with the sweetness. So the darker the chocolate, the better.
That mixture will add flavor and texture to your sponge.
Okay, so that's mixed enough. So the next step is to sift together some flour, plain flour, with some baking powder to make the cake rise, and some ground almond. The ground almond are there really to make the cake very, very soft. It's always a good ingredient. And I got some pure cocoa powder. So I'm going to sift all this ingredient together. I mean, just the sponge on its own, it's going to be very, very special.
Now it's time to combine all the ingredients. Start your mixer on slow, then speed up so the sponge is whipped and will be nice and light. Okay. Fill your grease tins. You need 2 sizes, and that will affect the cooking time. Okay, so this is going to go in a hot oven, temperature of 170. Obviously, the small one going to cook faster than a big one, so keep an eye on, on both of them anyway. While the cakes bake, it's time to make the chocolate filling. Let's get our buttercream filling ready. Starting with the butter and the icing sugar together. Okay, so when you see when the butter starts to be soft enough and start to mix, you can swap the spatula for the electric mixer. And now you can see you're getting some volumes to our mixture. And I'm just gonna add the melted dark chocolate, the double cream, and a couple of drops of vanilla essence. Carry on mixing all of that together. Okay, that's ready to use. So just give it with a spatula another little mix to make sure it's smooth. So we're going to keep that aside, and we're going to be able to start slicing our cakes. Carefully slice each sponge into 3 and put a layer of the chocolate buttercream on each slice. When sandwiched together, spread the cream around the edge and smooth with a palette knife. The cream needs to be very hot. So now we're going to make the ganache to glaze the top of our cakes. So in this bowl, I got equal quantity of dark chocolate, and I got some hot cream. So I'm just going to put over the chocolate, and the heat of the cream should be enough to melt. The cream needs to be very hot, and make sure the chocolate is all melted for that all-important glossy look. But that's perfect, nice and glossy. So we're going to glaze each tier separately. I'm going to take a piece of baking paper, and I'm going to completely coat the cake with this dark ganache. So using the palette knife, I'm going all around it. Okay, and we do exactly the same with our little one. So you need to have a good layer of ganache everywhere to make sure it's really well coated. And we're gonna lift it and set it gently on the top of our larger one. Okay, so as you can see, the ganache is still quite soft. It's all stuck together. So it's always best to put it in the fridge before decorating for maybe a good hour. So at least the ganache is set, and we can put all our beautiful figs and berries to make it very pretty. Okay, so the cake has been in the fridge now for a couple of hours, and by touching it like this, you can feel the ganache is completely set. So that's going to help to stick our fruit on it. So as a glue, I'm going to use melted dark chocolates. I've got those blackberries, and I've got those beautiful figs who are on season at the moment. And I actually bought as well a beautiful satin ribbon. You can get that in any department stores. I'm going to wrap that around, first of all, the top tier cake, and we're going to leave it to hang on the side like this. And now I'm just going to cut the figs. And if you don't like figs, you can always use other fruit. And if you press at the base, you should open them. I'm going to dip them in chocolate so they kind of stick to the top of our cake.
Here we are. I think that's quite impressive, like this. Here we are, a fantastic cake for a very special occasion, and it's not just the look, it will taste delicious as well. My gâteau moelleux with a chocolate ganache.
Eric's been commissioned to make a 4-tiered iced wedding cake with fresh flowers for Nina and Jamie. Their wedding is on this weekend down in Brighton.
Yeah, I don't normally like fruit cake, but that is outstanding. It's really lovely.
I learned in France, where, the most important thing is what the cake is going to taste like. Because, tell you something, at the French wedding, people will eat the cakes. And they will tell people about it. They will say it was rubbish or it was the best cake ever. And if it was the best cake ever, they're going to want a better cake for the next one. I'm quite particular about which florists we're using and suppliers. No pesticides, something like that, just in case it happen to touch the cakes. And I like the flowers as well to be fragrant, but don't go over the top as well. The cake should be a cake.
Every celebration needs a cake, especially a wedding. Nina and Jamie had a wonderful day, and Eric did them proud.